Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before coming into this tariqat, I thought the point of Sufism was to make a person to become a saint. After hearing Shaykh al-Karim and your talks, I understand that our goal is to become a servant.
MashaAllah.
Are these different goals, or are they pointing to the same direction?
They're pointing completely to the same direction. But one is with the ego, and the other one is with the spirit. You understand? The ego always wants recognition. The ego always wants something to show itself that it is superior, it is great. Because the ego's personality, in front of Allah, the ego is saying, you are you and I am me. Meaning, you are Lord and I am also Lord. That is everyone's ego. Praise. The ego wants praise. And we say, all praise belongs to Allah, not to us. And every servant of Allah is an open candidate to be His friend. But to be a friend of Allah is not easy. To be a saint, it is not easy. It is very difficult. You know how difficult it is? You're lucky if you say, I have one friend in this life. Isn't it? Who has a friend here to say, I have one friend other than Shaykh Effendi? Okay? To say, I have one friend in my life right now that is always there to help me, to support me, whatever it is. Completely 100% who will lay his life down to die for me. Who can say that? No one can say, really. Because in reality, we are all alone. We are lonely. We are alone, especially in this world. We are not meant to be comfortable or happy in this world. Our comfort and happiness is in the hereafter. Our original home with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet. If we are happy and comfortable here, we don't want to leave here. Once we don't want to leave this lowest of the low, that Allah is saying this dunya is asfala safilin, the lowest of the low, then we have already succumbed to the enemy. This is this dunya. That tariqat is saying, 4 enemies you have to watch out. Nafsu, shaitan, hawa, dunya. Your ego, evil, shaitan, your desires, and this world. That means, of course, it doesn't mean we have to be depressed. No. It means we're not going to look for satisfaction here. Simple things is going to give us a joy and a contentment. But we mustn't feel comfortable, because the believer is always a prisoner in this world. Holy Prophet is saying. This world is like a prison to the believers. The believer feels very tight, cannot be free, because we don't belong here. We were not made for this world. We were made for paradise. We were created for paradise, and paradise was created for us. Paradise is not created for Allah. Hasha, astaghfirullah. Paradise is not created for the angels. It's created for us. That was our original home, and we're sent here as a punishment. So, more you feel like a stranger to this world, more you feel like you're a prisoner in this world, more your spirit is kicking you. Wake up, wake up, wake up. More you have to find a holy person to connect. And you're going to have a connection and a bridge that you're building to the Akhirat. That the West, more than the East now, in this Akhir Zaman, they are realizing. They have this whole world, but they're realizing, I'm not happy. I'm still depressed. I'm still worried, and I don't know why. It's because the spirit is uneasy. The spirit is not comfortable. The spirit is trying to find Allah. So, that friend of Allah now, to be a friend of Allah, Allah will test. Allah will test. Out of billions and billions of people, only 124,000 at one time is a friend of Allah. So it's not so easy. We're not asking for sainthood. We're not. Because we cannot carry it. One thing we cannot carry. Second thing, just looking at our own lives, we are very far away from Allah. And looking at our lives, that what we were before, we say, oh, I still have so much that I have to pay for, it's impossible. But lower you're putting yourself, closer Allah will pull you to Him. Closer He will come Himself to you. Let me say this small story. One day, one friend of Allah, one saint, as we say before, those who are close to Allah, they have the most difficult lives. Not the easiest life. The most difficult lives, but they are most happy with their Lord. They are satisfied. The prophets, the saints, the salihin, they have the most difficult lives. But with today's standard, you say that these people, they are crazy. They're killing themselves. For what? So one day this saint, this friend of Allah, he was traveling, going to the Hajj. And Allah put him so much test, so much hardship, traveling to his house, the Baytullah, the Kaaba, to the Hajj. So much hardship Allah made him to go through. He is just swallowing and swallowing, not swallowing, accepting and accepting. Now, saints, of course, there are so many different kinds of saints now. There are so many different gradations. There's a hierarchy of the friends of Allah. And there are also friends of Allah that don't even know that they're friends of Allah. That they're hidden from the public, and some of them they're hidden from themselves. That they don't know. That be careful now if you anger them, because Allah answers their prayers. So Islam is teaching us to treat everyone with respect. And Islam is saying be in Jama'at, because who knows, in the Jama'at there may be a hidden saint there, that when he says Ameen, Ya Rabbi, give it to them, barakat is going to fall. So this friend of Allah is traveling, and so much difficulty is happening. And finally, he's seeing from a far distance, he's nearing to Mecca. And he's so happy. And he's riding on his donkey. And suddenly, his donkey fell down dead. This was the last straw. Different kinds of saints we're talking about. Some of them, they are very close to Allah. Some of them, they laugh with Allah. Some of them, they cry with Allah. Different kinds, as there are different kinds of people. Now Allah sent inspiration to the heart, saying to his friend, oh, my friend, all these happen. This happened. Don't you know this is how we treat our friends? And that saint answered back, yes, I know. This is why you have so little friends. You understand? If Allah so that saint now has a nearness to Allah because he's close, he's a friend. Friend may say things to each other. Friends may be rough to each other. Friends, they are friends to Allah, chose them as his friends. Of course, they are still creatures of Allah. Of course, we're not saying, as some saying, oh, they make union with Allah, and there's no. Allah is always Allah. Allah does not give from himself, of himself to his creature. If he gives of himself to his creation and his creature, then that creature and that creation has a right to say, I am also Allah. Then that is wrong. So, yes, our aim is to be servant. And if we are concentrating on our ego, it is to push us to servanthood. Then even if certain things are given to you, you're going to say, Ya Rabbi, I cannot do this. I cannot handle this. Take this away from me. Then when it becomes an obligation for you to carry that, you will not be responsible if you do wrong things, really, because they are forcing you to carry that responsibility, and they will always be supporting you. So, Alhamdulillah, inshallah, may we become servants. And the title of servanthood is a very high title also, that if I were to start, I'm not going to finish this. But the title of servanthood, it is very high, it is very holy, it is difficult. We're not going to understand servanthood unless you start serving. Serving who? Serving Allah, His Prophet, and His representative. Serving the one who's representing the Holy Prophet. Serving the guide. Serving your murshid. Serving your shaykh. So, bottom line, to be a servant, you have to serve. Service. And that hizmat, that khidmah, that service, it is higher than worship. Its value is more than worship. And if you start doing it, then that time your station will rise, inshallah. We want to be nothing. Inshallah, may Allah forgive us. Assalamu alaikum.